Howdy. Y'all know where I'm from? My family hails from the hills of West Virginia, and that's a fact. And one of the things that I learned in doing my family ancestry is about feuding, the cussing and the fussing that goes on in them there hills. Yeah? And when you start looking back, you've heard of some of the famous feuds, the McCoys and the Hatfields, for example. No one knows for sure what started the original feud. But if you go back in time and you start looking about what's caused all the feuds and the fussing and the cussing that goes on in the world, and it comes down to two things. Someone either wants land and gold or they want water. You look at what's going on in the Middle East today, and what are they fussing about? It's not the oil. It's who's got water rights here and there. So those same old things that have been going on for the past 5,000 years are ever present today. People looking for something that God gives to us freely. The scriptures today talk about that thirst that you and I have for God. As we live our lives, we sometimes go out into the desert of the world. And eventually we come upon the realization that what the world is offering to us only satisfies us in the short term. That there is something else out there. And God's Spirit is calling to each of us to get to know Him a little better. In the scriptures today, we hear about the Samaritan woman. Very first thing that you should know is that Jesus, by just speaking to a woman, was breaking rabbinical law. It was just not done for a single man to speak to a single woman, or any woman for that matter, besides his mother. So here we have Jesus setting aside some of the taboos that separate groups of people. That's what He does for you and me today. See, the Lord doesn't care whether we're Americans or Cameroonian or Egyptian or Russian or any other nationality. He doesn't care if we're white, if we're black, if we're Native American, if we're Asian. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to God whether we're Roman Catholics, Old Catholics, Methodists, Episcopalians, Nazarene. We could go on forever. God calls out to you and to me that He wants to fill us up, to give us that which we lack in our lives, that living water that refreshes us. Have you ever done yard work? When you finish that, especially here in Florida, you want to come in, hopefully to air conditioning, and you head for that sink, you turn on that tap, and you get a nice cool glass of water. And it refreshes you. Well, you gather each Sunday to refresh yourself in the Lord. You gather to hear His Word, to let His Word fill you, to encourage you. You come to this altar and you receive His body and His blood. And He fills you up with His grace so that you don't have to worry about thirsting and hungering again. Jesus knows each of us intimately, just like He knew the Samaritan woman. And it doesn't matter to the Lord what we've done in our past, what mistakes we may have made. He wants us to improve our lives, to take that encounter with him and that living water and to clean ourselves up and to go forth and tell others about that love of God, of that refreshing water of life that flows from God the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. In a few moments, Michael is going to come before us as he draws closer to those Easter sacraments. And he, too, is going to publicly acknowledge his sinfulness as he kneels here before God's altar. And he says to God, just like the Samaritan woman, I've been a sinner in my life, but I believe in you, and I want to follow you more closely. And all of us are going to gather round Michael, and we're going to lay hands on him and call forth the Spirit to drive from him anything that keeps him from that closer walk with the Lord. To give him that boost of spiritual energy to get him through the rest of this Lenten season to the Easter sacraments. This scrutiny is not for us to nab and to meddle in what Michael may have done in his past, but to say to him, whatever you have done in your past, it doesn't matter, because God loves you. And just as God loves Michael, he reaches out to you and to me and says, doesn't matter the mistakes you've made either. Come. Come be refreshed. Come. Come and draw closer to the Lord and worship in truth and in spirit the God who saves you, the God who loves you.